as in a nonprofit, you think everybody is starting nonprofits because they are good people and they have the same heart as you. That is so
Okay, yeah, you
far
got that
from.
right.
It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Welcome to America.
And the corruption in nonprofits is insane.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Or do you win from it?
You turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
Or do you use it as a strength?
You have to use it as a strength.
You repurpose the word suffering.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the crux of your story.
Yeah.
And how long are you in the States for? And can you do an American accent?
You can do a Boston accent. I know that.
Can you do?
Listen, she's gonna bullshit everybody. She was all before the show. She was talking like she was from Boston. She's just putting on this.
Well, this Irish accent's fake.
The Irish accent's
Scott
wrong.
Mingus, one of our directors, he's from Alabama originally.
Oh.
Good luck with that accent.
You want to hear us, right? When we were at Police Week, there was myself, there was Joe. Joe's from Boston. Then you have Scott, who was from Alabama, and then there was Doc was from California. So people were coming over, and if they were talking to Scott and they couldn't understand them, they'd come to me, and I'd have to translate.
You should hear.
And it would be vice versa. It was hilarious. But now I'd be like mashed taters. Like
You got to hear a Hoboken accent.
Yeah, I
with
was
whatever
just
I like.
hear the Palmer.
That's a whole other thing. Now, just moving away from that for a second. Do we have accents to you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you do, but you don't. You all did beforehand. But now
I'm not talking about speaking American English. I'm talking about where we're from.
Jersey accent.
Jersey
Oh
accent.
yeah, you do.
They're
The
picked up
different
all over
dialects.
the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All over the country, they say you're from New York.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm from Jersey.
Yeah.
Same, then, yeah, same shit.
It is though, technically, no?
So do.
Oh, it's the New York, New Jersey area.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like when you're in New York, and you're in upstate New York, don't ever say they're from New York City.
New York City, I know.
Never.
I know.
Never.
I know.
Never. That's just one of those little
I
traps.
learned that.
But I do, before we end this podcast, I do want to hear you give your American accent.
Jesus,
Make fun
you're
of us
killing
right
me.
to our face. Come
No,
on, Irish people
no,
aren't supposed to be offended by anything.
No, I'm not, but I sound like an idiot. So
With white hair, you're getting awful red.
it's me Christmas look.
Look like I was just gonna say, looking like Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus.
So how can our audience get involved or look for Irish Angel? How can we find some way to help out?
Anyway, we're actually growing Irish Angel right now, so we're building out chapters. I'd no idea just how big it was, as in the amount of people that need help, like that need the funding to go and get their treatment. And we service all of the United States, so it only seems right that we open chapters in different areas to raise more funds. So we're looking.
That choosing process must be very difficult.
It is. I traveled most of the country this year, which was, don't get me wrong, it was phenomenal. But I have to travel it. This is my baby. This is my passion.
And you're the face of the company.
Yeah, and
They don't call it Alabama Angel.
but you have to trust the people that is involved and understand and know that they're in it for the right reason.
Exactly.
Because I've been played like a fiddle in this too. Because I went into this very naive, eyes wide shut. Thinking because I come from a good place, as in a nonprofit, you think everybody is starting nonprofits because they are good people and they have the same heart as you. That is so
Okay, yeah,
far
you got that
from.
right.
It's just ridiculous.
Welcome
And the
to America.
And the corruption in nonprofits is insane.
Well, so we have a nonprofit as well, and once we started it, and I'm looking at how it's structured, I said to myself, "Wow, there was really room here to really be inappropriate and improper in the way you handle those finances."
Yeah.
Kev, the IRS is listening.
That's okay. They can check my bank account because they're not one dime.
We haven't got
Exactly.
one penny.
But I'm the same. None of us on Irish Angel has taken a wage.
Yeah.
Nobody. We do it because we have the passion. We love what we do.
I was getting yelled at for buying supplies and paying for the website out of my own pocket. I said, "No, that's my donation to the nonprofit. You don't understand." "No, you don't pay." No, I'm good with it. It's not that much money. I can handle it. So, but at some point it becomes draining, and you're doing all this work. And I know the question with nonprofits, a lot of donors will ask these things where they'll say, "Okay, what's your salary?" They'll ask blunt, what
No.
what do you get? No. I'm not asking you that.
Just for that.
But
No.
but at what point do you make this your job? I'm sure people at the Gary Sinise Foundation, and I think they're wonderful and Wounded Warrior. They get paid for what they do. It's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job. You have to live.
Well, yeah, that's and that is factored in, because when you do actually start up a nonprofit, you have to write that in as what you will get a wage eventually, whatever. And the board has often said to me, you need to start taking a wage, and I'm like, because this is my life. It is my life, but I don't see it. What I get out of it internally, you can't buy that, right? But they're like, Amanda, this, you have to. But I'm in my mind, and I know it's ridiculous, but I'd go, right, well, if I'm taking a wage, how many people would that have sent for treatment? Do you know what I mean?
I understand where you're coming from, but
I think there's a big caveat. I'm with Mike on this one. You were recently on an airplane, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and they give you the whole spiel about if there's in case of an event, the oxygen masks will drop. What's the first thing they say?
Put it on the kids. No, put it on yourself. But then
put it on yourself first.
Put it on yourself first.
Before you put it on the kid, yeah.
Yeah, put it on yourself first, because if you're drowning and you're no good, then you're no good to anybody. Yeah. What's the first thing they teach you about responding to calls? You're no good to anybody else unless you get there safely.
Unless you get there safely.
So I'm not telling you anything to take money or anything but that. But damn, Amanda, you got to start taking care of yourself, because a happy Amanda is going to be more productive.
Happy. I am actually happy.
No, you're not. I just said you're not. Stop.
For the first time
Jersey,
in my
you
life,
can't tell us
I'm
we're
actually
wrong.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm the happiest I've ever been.
It's funny. She said on the flight over here, Drew, you'd like this when they were playing a Frank Sinatra movie. She said it was the best movie she's ever saw. Thank you.
I am a pilgrim in an unholy land. Start spreading your cheeks. Okay. This is America. All right. Before we go any further, actually, I wish Mike DePalma was here, because he'd tell you a thing or two about Frank Sinatra. People in Hoboken hate him, and that's where Frank Sinatra's
Really?
from. Yes.
Really?
Because Frank Sinatra don't give a crap about where he was from.
They have a street named after him.
Yeah, but that's PR. You're doing all these things. You need funds. Where can we find Irish Angel?
irishangel.org.
Okay, and your social media?
Yeah, we're all over the place. So
Because I Instagram your Blue Irish Angel. Is there Red Irish Angel? Is it?
No, we just keep it all under the blue one. You see, what happened was I wanted to get just Irish Angel. Couldn't get it. So at the time we were just focusing on law enforcement. So I put Blue Irish Angel. The name has kind of stuck.
And you're big on LinkedIn as well.
Huge on LinkedIn.
Okay, so we're going to put all that information in our show notes. So if anybody's looking for you, that's one click away. Just look at the show notes and you'll be able to go there to continue your mission. My big question to you is, you've been through all this different stuff, and as it pertains to your mother and your father, have you forgiven them?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I have. And even the person that abused me, when they were dying, I went and I told them I forgave them.
How did you do that?
I had to. I took control.
Did you do it before or after you spit on him?
Put air in the IV.
Well,
Step on the hose.
well, for me, I suppose it was like I had to take control of my life. I had to.
Closure.
Exactly.
Now, the big question is have you forgiven yourself?
Yeah. No, I'm good with me.
I'm going to say maybe not totally. Maybe this is a way of making yourself feel better about yourself.
It does make me feel. Yeah. And that's the one thing about doing the work that I do. There is a lot that you get internally out of it.
Because you get over trauma by helping other people.
You do.
You really do. Because when I'm having that moment, and I still have those moments, when I'm having that moment where I'm just down and I'm in that bad place, I will inevitably call somebody who I think may be like me, where I can just talk to them, and by helping them somehow, it's a weird thing, because somehow it helps me. Sometimes it helps me get over what I'm going through, and I feel better.
It takes your mind in another direction.
And that's what this podcast is all about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we get a lot of joy. I don't want to say joy out of hearing other people suffering.
You sick bastard. You just got joy out of hearing all that stuff.
No, we get joy out of seeing that people came through it and
Yes.
knowing that we're helping, because we've
Yes.
helped so many people with this podcast. Like you said, you had a lot of connections from your 501c3, and you have resources that you could send people to if they need help. We have that now too. We met so many people from so many walks of life.
It's all about connections.
We don't know what people are going through,
yeah.
or how to help them get through that. But we may know someone
Who does
that
know.
could help you, help
Exactly.
that person, and it's really gratifying.
It is. There's a lot to be. I remember the first time we call it a save. First time we got a save, I cried. I cried like a baby, just because, you see something, you grew something from nothing, like you literally grew it from nothing, and then you see it come into fruition, and it's there, and you've made the right connections. But when you get that call, and you can make that call, and you get that person, like within 20 minutes, we had help to that person, and in I think it was Virginia. We had help to them, and the messages we got back was amazing.
We'll make it very clear also, and I think I understand this. You're not there to offer therapy, or
No.
you're there to get resources to them.
Yeah, we have the resources available for them.
Right. That's a big distinction. That's a
yeah.
big distinction. Somebody's going through a bad time, call an Irish Angel, say, hey, can you talk me through this? No.
I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's a friend, of course you're going to talk to them as a friend does, but it's not I would never, try and persuade somebody in a certain way. I just listen. The best thing you can offer somebody who's in crisis is just an ear to listen.
It's an amazing thing you're doing.
It really is.
It really is.
And for everything you've been through, and to see what you're doing now, you're an amazing person. You really are.
I'm all right.
You're ornery.
I'm all right.
You're ornery or all right?
I'm all right.
She's ornery too.
I'm ornery.
All right, meet all wrong.
And meet all fucked up.
So we're coming to the end of this thing now, and I ask everybody the same question. You've had a life. Geez, it's like it's a novel. It really
You've had
is.
a couple lifetimes of suffering.
And there are things in here which I'm sure you've either brushed over or left out.
A lot.
I don't know if I can handle it. I gotta go to sleep at night.
I know
piggybacking
people.
on-
I'll send you for therapy. Be right.
Piggyback on that, she said it's like a novel. I see a book in your future.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Scott, one of the directors, when I told him my story, because I literally only told my truth. I think it was April this year, for the first time I told my story, and it was the most nerve-wracking thing I ever did in my life.
How do you feel afterwards?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I felt like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders. But Scott turned around to me and he went, Amanda, he said, this is not a book. This is a movie.
Yeah.
And then funny you mentioned FHE, because they ran a piece on me there. I don't know whether it's actually published yet or not, but they knew my story. Sharif, the CEO, had asked me mine, and I told him the story, and he was like, this is where you need to be. You need to start telling your story. The amount of people you'll inspire, that women that's been raped or abused or whatever.
Would you show them that there is a life?
A life.
There
Yeah,
is
there is
a
a life.
what's next.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't stop at the abuse.
No, it doesn't. The writer, she contacted me, and it was so funny because we only had I'd say about 20 minutes to talk, right? And she's taken down all these things. And then she said, oh, Steve was saying you told your story. Can you tell me your story? And I'm going, seriously? It's so
In
long.
20 minutes?
It's like, seriously? But she ended up staying on the phone with me for it must have been about an hour and a half. And she cancelled her other meetings. And she was like, this is just crazy, she said. This is a book or a movie, she said, and you need to write it. I was like, I will one day. One day I will. Yeah.
So, again, that question I ask everybody at the end of the show is, we all learn things from our own trauma, our own suffering. What do you think your suffering has taught you?
It's taught me to be a better mother, to be a good mom. And it's taught me to be extremely positive and resilient, Yeah, resiliency is a massive thing for me.
Resiliency is a big thing in suffering.
Yeah, big
You know,
time.
if you're not resilient,
No.
you're going to let that suffering engulf you.
Yeah, exactly. So resilience for sure, and being a good mom.
Amanda, I can't thank you enough for coming in and speak with
Twice.
us. Twice. Bearing your soul, telling some really difficult stuff, but also chronicling how you came out of it and starting this new life with Irish Angel. And for those of you, I just want to say it again, go to irishangel.org, reach out. You're not alone. You're never alone. There are people out here, there are angels such as Amanda willing to help us. And I can't thank you enough.
You're more than welcome.
I just find it weird that, she had all this trauma in her life caused by all these men, and she came in and talked to us two idiots.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. And as always,
She's the one laughing now, not me.
I know.
She's trying to screw you up.
We think about the stuff that we learned. First thing we learned is getting your jump on is my new favorite term. I absolutely love that. I've got to figure out a way to work that in there. Money spoils everything. The rearview mirror is always smaller than the front windshield. All we want is to be loved. I believe in you, Amanda, but most importantly, angels are here to save us. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Irish Angel with Amanda Coleman. As always, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell on YouTube. We're on that race to 5,000 subscribers. Oh, jeez. Follow The Suffering Podcast on Instagram. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And we will see you on the next episode of The Suffering Podcast.